My fiancé slept with my cousin a week before our wedding, so I exposed them both at the ceremony and walked away without. Looking back, I'm a 29-year-old guy, and I thought I'd finally met the woman who made all my struggles worth it. Growing up, money was always tight. My parents worked double shifts just to keep the lights on, and I learned early that nothing in life comes easy. I wasn't the smartest kid in school, but I worked hard, built a small business from scratch, saved every penny, and promised myself I'd build a life better than the one I was born into. That's when Lily came into my world. She was radiant in every sense of the word, confident, funny, and the kind of person who could walk into a room and instantly make friends. We met through mutual friends at a small get-together. I remember spilling my drink out of pure nervousness when she smiled at me. She laughed it off, called me adorably awkward. And by the end of the night, we were already sharing stories like we'd known each other for years. Our connection felt effortless. She'd show up at my shop with lunch just to keep me company during long workdays. When I was exhausted, she'd text me little reminders like, "Don't forget you're doing amazing things." Over time, her energy became the light I never knew I needed. I introduced her to my family and everyone adored her. Even my mom said, "Son, you've got to keep her." We built dreams together, late night talks about future kids, buying a house, traveling the world. Every moment with her felt like proof that all my sacrifices had finally led somewhere beautiful. When I proposed, she cried real, shaking tears that made me believe she was just as in love as I was. Looking back now, I realize how blind love can be. But at that time, I couldn't imagine a world without her. I truly thought Lily was forever, and I had no idea how wrong I was. I've always been close with my family, especially my cousin Adam. We grew up like brothers, sleepovers, sports, even getting in trouble together. Adam was the charming one, always knowing what to say, the kind of guy people naturally gravitated toward. He'd always had this competitive streak with me, though. If I bought a new car, he had to get one better. If I got promoted, he suddenly had big plans of his own. I used to laugh it off, thinking it was harmless rivalry. When I introduced him to Lily, it felt natural. She was about to be family anyway, and Adam had a way of making everyone comfortable. The two of them hit it off instantly, cracking jokes, sharing stories, and teasing me for being the serious one. I remember thinking how lucky I was that my fiancé and my cousin got along so well. It made family gatherings feel easier, more connected. But over time, their closeness started to feel different. They texted more often than I expected, sometimes late into the night. I'd glance over and see Lily smiling at her phone, and when I'd ask what was funny, she'd brush it off with, "Just Adam being Adam." I told myself not to overthink it. She was outgoing, friendly. That's what drew me to her in the first place. Still, small things bothered me. Adam started dropping by unannounced, claiming he was just in the neighborhood. Lily always seemed oddly excited when he did. At a family dinner, I caught them sharing a private laugh. I wasn't part of an inside joke, whispered between smiles. I ignored the knot forming in my gut, convincing myself I was being paranoid. Love makes you trust, even when logic screams otherwise. But that was the first time. I felt something cold crawl into my chest, the quiet suspicion that maybe, just maybe, I didn't know them as well as I thought as the wedding got closer. I started to notice things that didn't make sense anymore. Lily wasn't the same woman I'd proposed to. She'd stopped sending those random thinking of you texts, stopped showing up at my shop during lunch breaks. When I'd call, she'd answer with distracted tones, half listening, half somewhere else. I blamed it on wedding stress. Everyone told me planning a wedding could turn even the calmest person into a wreck, and I wanted to believe that's all it was. But deep down, something felt off. One afternoon, I stopped by her apartment unannounced, thinking I'd surprise her with dinner. Her phone was buzzing nonstop on the coffee table. Messages from someone saved simply as the texts were flirty, too intimate to ignore. My stomach dropped, but before I could look closer, she came out of the bathroom and snatched her phone up. Her smile didn't reach her eyes when she said, "Babe, it's just a coworker joking around." I didn't press it. I told myself I trusted her. I wanted to trust her. Even my best friend Derek noticed. He pulled me aside one night and said, "Man, I don't like how Adam looks at her. You might want to keep an eye on that." I laughed it off, pretending it didn't sting to hear. Adam was family. Lily was my future wife. There was no way, but the coincidences piled up, her canceling plans last minute. Adam showing up at family events she insisted I skip because I was too tired, and the constant excuses that made less and less sense. One night, lying awake next to her, I watched her sleep peaceful. Unbothered while my mind screamed with doubt, I told myself I was imagining things. That love meant faith, even when it hurt. But in my gut, I knew something had shifted, something I couldn't name yet, but would soon destroy everything I'd built. The week before the wedding was supposed to be the happiest time of my life, but instead felt like walking on cracked glass. Every day brought a new tension I couldn't explain. Lily had become almost unreachable. She'd vanish for hours, claiming she was finalizing decorations or meeting the florist. But whenever I offered to tag along, she'd wave me off with a bright, dismissive smile. "Babe, you've done enough already," she'd say. "Let me handle the rest." Her words sounded sweet, but her eyes were distant. She wasn't here anymore. Not really. I tried to distract myself with last-minute preparations, finalizing the guest list, arranging seating, picking up my suit. But even in the busyness, her absence echoed louder than any silence I'd ever known. I could feel something rotting underneath the surface of our perfect facade. Then came the moment that changed everything. My friend Derek called me late one night. His voice was hesitant, almost apologetic. "Man, I don't know how to say this, but I just saw Lily leaving the lantern with Adam. They didn't look like family catching up." They looked close. My mind blanked. The lantern was a dim, intimate bar downtown. Not exactly a place for pre-wedding errands. I wanted to believe there was a reasonable explanation. There had to be. But even as I tried to convince myself, I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. The next morning, I confronted Lily, my voice shaking. "Were you with Adam last night?" She blinked, then laughed, a sharp, defensive sound. "You're jealous? Of Adam? Seriously? You're just stressed, babe." She kissed me on the cheek and walked away before I could reply, leaving me standing there with a pit in my stomach. That night I couldn't sleep. I stared at our wedding invitation on the nightstand, our names printed in gold, and felt a chill run through me. Something inside me whispered that this wasn't just nerves. This was the calm before the storm. 2 days later, everything fell apart. It started with a feeling, that gut-deep certainty you can't explain but can't ignore. Lily said she'd be out all afternoon meeting the wedding photographer. But when I texted to check in, hours went by with no reply. Something in me snapped. I drove to her apartment, the same route I'd taken 100 times before. But this time my hands shook the entire way. Her car was parked outside. The lights were dim, but there were shadows moving behind the curtains. I told myself it was nothing, maybe her mom, maybe one of her bridesmaids. But when I walked closer, I saw it. Adam's jacket hanging on the back of her chair. My chest went hollow. I froze, every part of me screaming to walk away, to not see what I already knew. But I couldn't. I needed the truth. I knocked once, no answer. The second knock made the door creak open an inch. I stepped inside. The sound hit first. Muffled laughter, a familiar low voice that made my stomach twist. Then her voice followed, soft and intimate, the way she used to talk to me. "Adam, stop." Someone might. I didn't wait for the rest. I walked out before they saw me, my vision blurring as if the world had lost its color. My ears rang. My pulse was all I could hear. I don't even remember driving home. I just remember the silence, that unbearable, suffocating silence of realizing the people you trusted most had destroyed you. That night, I sat at my desk, staring at my laptop screen through tears. Every photo of us together, every text, every memory, all poisoned, out of reflex. I checked her cloud backups. Messages. Dozens. Months of hidden plans and secret meetings. They weren't just having an affair. They'd been doing it. Behind my back long before the wedding was even planned, and that's when something inside me broke. but not in the way you'd think. Shock has a strange way of numbing you. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there in the glow of my laptop screen, scrolling through their messages. Can't wait until it's all over. He'll never suspect a thing after the honeymoon. We'll figure it out. My name was a joke between them. My love, a convenience. I felt myself disconnect, like my body was there, but my soul had checked out. At first, I wanted to confront them, to drive straight to her apartment and drag the truth out in front of both their faces. But something stopped me. Maybe pride. Maybe the realization that I'd lose even that small sense of control. So instead, I did something I never thought I was capable of. I got quiet. I started planning. I saved every message, screenshot every photo, even recorded a few voice notes she'd sent him by accident, all the proof I'd ever need. But the twist came a few hours later when Derek, my best friend, called. His tone was grave. Man. I didn't know how to tell you this, but Adam's been bragging. At the bachelor party, said Lily only stayed with you for the money that she'd cash out after the wedding gifts and leave you. I remember gripping the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. He said that. I asked quietly. Yeah, Derek replied. Said he already won. Those words lit something in me. Not rage, not sorrow, but clarity. If they thought they could play me, humiliate me, and walk away smiling, they had no idea who they were dealing with. That night, I opened a new document on my computer and titled it The Wedding Plan. I didn't delete the invitations. I didn't cancel the venue. I didn't call off the ceremony if they wanted a wedding. They'd get one, just not the kind anyone would ever forget. The days leading up to the wedding felt like I was living in someone else's body. On the outside, I played my part perfectly, smiling, cracking jokes, going to fittings, even thanking guests for their well wishes. On the inside, I was ice. Every smile was a weapon. Every word was calculated. I wasn't marrying Lily anymore. I was staging her downfall. I spent those nights awake, staring at my laptop, crafting the reveal. I contacted the videographer under the pretense of adding a special surprise to the reception slideshow. I told him to play a video file I'd provide at a specific cue when everyone was seated. He didn't ask questions. He just agreed, thinking it was a romantic montage. Meanwhile, I copied the messages and photos onto a hidden USB drive, organizing them like evidence in a trial. Texts of them laughing at me. Photos from hotel rooms. Her voice saying, I wish he'd stop calling me so much. Each clip was another nail in their coffin. At rehearsals, Lily was glowing. She kissed me in front of everyone, her arms wrapped around me like nothing had happened. Can you believe we're finally here? She whispered. Her perfume, once comforting, now made me sick. Adam clapped me on the back, grinning like the devil himself. Big day coming, cousin, he said. You ready? I looked him dead in the eye and smiled. More than you'll ever know? Every guest list confirmation, every decoration set up, I let it continue. No cancellations, no suspicions. My parents thought I was just nervous. Lily thought she'd gotten away with everything, but on the night before the wedding, as I stood in front of the mirror adjusting my tie, I didn't see a groom. I saw a man walking into war, calm, deliberate, and holding all the power. Tomorrow, the masks would come off. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and warm. It's the kind of day people dream of for new beginnings. But for me, it felt like standing on the edge of a storm. My suit hung crisp, the boutonniere Lily picked out gleaming against the dark fabric. Every detail was perfect, every piece in place. Except for the truth that was about to rip through it all. I arrived early at the venue, shaking hands with guests, thanking relatives, playing the role of a man deeply in love. My mom hugged me, whispering, Your dad would be so proud. Son? I swallowed hard, forcing a smile. Because if she knew what was really about to happen, her heart would break. When Lily walked in, everything stopped. She was stunning, hair cascading in waves, eyes bright, every inch of her looking like the woman I once loved. For a fleeting second, my chest tightened. I remembered our first date, the way she'd laughed when I'd dropped my fork, The memory stabbed like glass shards. But then I saw Adam standing at the groomsman's line, smirking faintly, and the emotion vanished. The ceremony began. The music, the vows, the smiles, all blending into a haze of performance. Lily's hand trembled in mine as the officiant spoke, maybe from nerves, maybe from guilt. I looked into her eyes and almost pitied her. Almost. When it came time for the vows, she went first. Her words were syrupy sweet, her voice cracking just enough to seem sincere. People sniffled in the audience. She ended with, "You're my home, my heart, my forever." Hey, then it was my turn. I took a deep breath and began my voice steady. "You've given me so much, Lily. Love, laughter, and lessons." The room chuckled softly, unaware of what was coming. My hand brushed the pocket where the USB drive sat like a loaded gun. "I think it's only fair," I continued slowly, "that before I say I do, everyone here gets to see just how deep our love really goes." A murmur rippled through the crowd as the lights dimmed, and that's when I nodded to the videographer. The music cut abruptly. The projector flickered to life. At first, the screen showed what everyone expected. Our engagement photos, smiling faces, soft piano music in the background. Guests relaxed, whispering about how beautiful we looked together. Then, 20 seconds in, the slideshow froze, and a new video began. The first image was a text message. "Can't wait till he's out of the picture for good." Lily's name glowed at the top of the screen. The room went silent. Another message followed, Adam's reply. "We'll finally be together. Just one more week." Gasps rippled through the crowd. I stood perfectly still, watching Lily's face drain of color. Adam shifted uneasily among the groomsmen, his smirk evaporating. Then came the photos, grainy at first, then crystal clear. Hotel room mirrors. Hands intertwined. Her laugh captured mid-betrayal. Lily stumbled forward, whispering, "Turn it off. Please turn it off." Her voice cracked, desperate, but the videographer just stood frozen, unsure what to do. I didn't move. My chest was tight, but my face calm, years of emotion collapsing into a quiet. Devastating satisfaction. Whispers became shouts. Her mother sobbed. My uncle cursed Adam under his breath. A few guests got up to leave. Others stayed glued to their seats, unable to look away. Adam tried to speak. "This is twisted, man." I raised my hand, silencing him. "Twisted?" I said evenly. "You call sleeping with my fiancée a week before our wedding normal?" Lily fell to her knees, mascara streaking down her face. "Please, I'm sorry. I made a mistake." I looked down at her, and for the first time in months, I felt absolutely nothing. "You didn't make a mistake, Lily," I said softly. "You made a choice." Then I turned to the crowd, slipped the ring from my finger, and set it on the floor between us. "You can have each other. Consider this my wedding gift." The guests watched in stunned silence as I walked out of the hall, the echoes of her sobs fading behind me. Outside, the air felt colder, but for the first time in a long time, I could breathe. I didn't drive away right away. I just sat in my car in the parking lot, gripping the steering wheel, trying to steady my breathing. Inside the venue, I could still hear faint shouting, Lily crying, Adam arguing with relatives, guests murmuring in disbelief. The chaos I'd unleashed was spreading like wildfire, but I didn't feel guilt. I felt clarity. A strange, quiet clarity that came from knowing the truth was finally out. By the next morning, word had already spread. My phone buzzed, non-stop calls from friends, texts from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Screenshots from social media showed snippets of the video someone had recorded on their phone. It had already gone viral in a local wedding forum. Comments poured in. "Good for him. She deserved that. Karma's real." Adam's parents showed up at my house later that afternoon. His mother was trembling with shame, apologizing through tears. "We didn't raise him like this," she kept saying. I told her it wasn't her fault. Some people choose cruelty no matter how they're raised. As for Lily, she tried to call. At first once, then over and over again. Each voicemail was a mix of denial and desperation. "Please, We can fix this. I wasn't thinking clearly. It didn't mean anything. But every time I heard her voice, I was reminded of how easily she'd lied to me for months. I blocked her number. The hardest part was my family. My mom cried when she found out. "You didn't deserve that, sweetheart," she said, hugging me tight. "But I'm proud of how you handled it," smiled faintly, though it didn't reach my eyes. I just wanted the truth to speak louder than the lies. That night, I deleted every picture, every trace of her. The silence in my house was heavy, not empty, but clean. And for the first time in weeks, I slept without dreaming. In the weeks that followed, I told everyone I was fine, that I was moving on. But the truth was, the silence that had once felt cleansing now felt suffocating. Every morning, I'd wake up and forget for 2 seconds that she was gone, that they were gone, and then it would hit all over again. The wedding photos never printed. The honeymoon tickets went unused. The life I thought I was building just dissolved. It wasn't the betrayal itself that broke me. It was the realization that I'd built my entire world around people who saw me as disposable. I'd worked myself to exhaustion for a future that didn't exist. At night, the loneliness echoed louder than any anger. I'd stare at the ceiling, replaying everything. The laughter, the plans, the way she used to say, "You're my forever." It felt like a cruel joke now. One evening, I drove to the old pier my dad used to take me to when I was a kid. It was quiet, the water black under the moonlight. I sat on the bench for hours, staring out at nothing, wondering when exactly I'd lost myself trying to be everything for someone else. I wanted to hate her, to hate Adam, but all I could feel was this aching emptiness. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a message from an unknown number. "I'm sorry. Please, can we talk?" It was Lily. I didn't reply. I just sat there, the waves crashing softly below, until I finally whispered, "You already said everything that mattered." For the first time, I let myself cry. Not for her, but for the version of me that believed love meant blind loyalty. The tears felt heavy, but they carried something out of me. That night, I didn't decide to move on. I just decided to stop looking back, and somehow, that was enough. Months passed before I started feeling like myself again. Or maybe it was someone new entirely. I moved into a smaller apartment across town, one with big windows and quiet mornings. I started running again, cooking for myself, rediscovering the simple routines I'd lost when my life revolved around someone else. The pain didn't vanish overnight, but it softened, turning from a wound into a scar, a reminder, not a prison. Lily tried reaching out one last time. A mutual friend told me Adam had left her just weeks after the wedding fiasco. Apparently, once the dust settled, their love couldn't survive the humiliation. She sent me a long email, paragraphs of apologies, excuses, and nostalgia. I didn't reply. Not because I hated her, but because I didn't care anymore. There was nothing left to say. One Sunday morning, I found myself driving past the church, where it all went down. The building looked the same, but the feeling was gone. I parked across the street for a minute, just watching families walk in, smiling and laughing. And for the first time, I smiled too, not out of bitterness, but peace. I realized I didn't regret exposing them. The truth had cost me everything I thought I wanted, but it also freed me from the illusion I was living in. I wasn't the broken man who walked out of that ceremony. I was the one who survived it. That evening, I sat on my balcony with a cup of coffee, the city lights stretching out below. The air was cool, the night calm. I breathed deeply and whispered to myself, "You did it. You walked away." And in that quiet moment, I finally understood. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't anger or payback. It's peace. I didn't just walk out of that wedding hall. I walked into my freedom, and I've never looked back since.